Welcome to the Success Talk Show, the podcast for ambitious leaders who want to get their best results and create a workplace for their teams to thrive. Each week, we share practical advice to help you accelerate your success and grow as an inspiring leader. Now, here's your host, Leadership Success Coach, Donna Siriani.
Welcome to another episode of the Success Talk Show. This is Donna Siriani, Leadership Success Coach and founder of Success Compass Academy. In this episode, I'll share with you 7 habits that could be game changers for your productivity. Now, as a leader, it's important that you have good habits, right, to manage your productivity so that you feel good about your contribution, you enjoy the work you're doing, but also because you have a big vision for the contribution that you want you and your teams to make in the organization. And maybe adopting a few new habits could take you a step further in accomplishing that. Now, for me personally, I'm always looking for that next tweak that I can make to get more done and work smarter, not harder. So what I'm sharing with you in this episode are the 7 habits that have actually been game changers for me personally. Now, it may sound good to you in theory, but at the moment, you might be feeling, maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or stressed about everything on your plate. Now, sometimes it can feel like a tsunami just washing over you, depending on the fast pace of your company, all of the projects, client requests, the things that have to get done. It can sometimes feel like you're really not in control, and then it starts to spill into your personal time, and it steals the precious time that you want to spend with your family and friends. Right? So even the amount of time you may need to recharge your batteries gets taken away, and it can feel really frustrating. Now, I have a lot of clients I work with who do feel that way. And so when I'm working with somebody or with a company, I'm usually working on leadership development, company culture, employee engagement. And often when I work one-on-one with somebody, it's about how they can increase their contribution. Usually they're ambitious leaders like you who want to accomplish more in the organization. So these habits really can be that foundation of what you need to have in place in order to, again, accomplish that bigger vision. Now, I had a client who was a senior executive, and he felt, this way most of the time, this feeling of, being anxious and stressed. And what he shared with me during one of our sessions is that he didn't feel he could ever say no. Now, consequently, what makes this even worse is that every single person who reported to him was in the same predicament because he never felt like he could say no. They didn't either. So there you have it, an entire leadership team that's all feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and stressed out. Now, there's lots of reasons for how you could end up that way in terms of, appropriate staffing, workloads, right? But for today, I really just want to focus on the things you actually have immediate control over, some habits that you could really start practicing right away. Now, maybe of the 7 habits I share with you, maybe there are 1 or 2 that will really resonate. And as you know, you can't tackle 7 new habits all at the same time. You might just tackle 1 or 2, give it a few weeks, see how that goes, and then just keep adding on. But every enhancement you make can really have a difference on how you feel and how much you're getting done, and how you feel about what you're getting done. So I'd really like to encourage you to try something new. So let's dig in. Let's start going over the habits. Habit number 1 is to create your plan for the week with your top 3 goals. Now, you may already be doing this, and if so, fantastic. But I haven't really met too many people that do this as a habit, so it may be something you want to consider. Instead of just planning for tomorrow or planning for today, this habit is about looking at the week ahead, what's coming up next week, Monday through Friday, and planning out the week, when you're going to get your most important work done, and identifying your top 3 goals. Now, in reality, you may get much more done than that, but if you go into the week with this big, long laundry list of 100 things you're going to get done, that's pretty overwhelming. So when you look at the week ahead, plan out Monday through Friday exactly what you're going to get done when, big blocks of time. Oh, I say big. You're not planning, 5 minutes. You're saying, all right, for the time that you have available, Monday through Friday, when exactly are you going to work on those top 3 goals? Okay. It's easy to be optimistic if you just go day by day and think, well, if I don't get what I need done today, I'll tackle it tomorrow, and so on. And then each day, if somebody comes along and they ask you to do something new as a new request, you might think, even if it's something small, it's only going to take you a few minutes, half an hour, you might think you'll have time later in the week, tomorrow or the next day, right? So you have a little bit more of an optimistic view. The benefit of planning out your entire week is that you can see where your commitments are. You can take a realistic view of when you actually have time to get your work done, right? Because you're going to work around meetings and other time commitments. And when you do that, and we'll talk later on about saying no, you can be more realistic about anything new coming your way and whether you really have time to work on it this week. Now, I want to share a quote with you from someone who I follow. Her name is Dr. Heidi Halverson. She's a leading researcher on goals and achievement. And she writes that planning turns out to be one of the single most effective strategies you can use to reach any goal. When people engage in the right kind of planning, their success rates go up on average between 200% and 300%. Now, I share that with you because you adopting the habit of creating a plan for the week is going to pay dividends. So what I'd encourage you to do is pick a day and time that you can block off each week to concentrate on creating that plan for the upcoming week. Now, for me personally, the best time for me has always been Sunday mornings. Monday through Friday is really busy. Saturday's my first day off to really enjoy my time. So by Sunday morning, I'm rested, clear-headed, and I'm already thinking about the week ahead. So every Sunday morning, I set aside time to create a plan for the coming week. Now, whatever day and time you choose, put it on your calendar as a recurring appointment. Now, how much time you spend on this planning activity, it really depends on, how organized are you with your list of priorities, projects, assignments? Do you have them captured all in one place? It certainly makes it easier to go through this exercise and plan the week when you have a consolidated list, one place that's got all your commitments, tasks, assignments, projects. You've got it all listed, one master list. Then it makes it a lot easier when you sit down to do your planning to say, okay, what do I have coming up this week? I look at my calendar, what kind of meetings, commitments, deadlines, and then let me look at my list of work, projects, and assignments and tasks. Now, for me personally, again, I keep all my lists in Evernote, so it's really easy to access and to review. And anytime I want to add something to my list, I put it in Evernote. Just makes it easy, keeps it all in one place, and it helps the planning process. Now, if you would like to see the worksheet that I use, and I actually sketch it out with a pen, on a piece of paper. I think of it as a blank canvas. I plan out my time for the week. If you would like to use the same worksheet I use that I've created, you can download it on my website. It's successcompassstrategies.com/planning-your-time. So it's planning your time, but there's a dash in between. So planning-your-time. So the link will also be in the notes on this episode, so you can check it out there. But anyway, if you want to use the same worksheet I use. So what I do is I look at the week, create my 3 goals. What are the 3 things I absolutely want to get done? And then I plan when am I actually going to work on those goals and block out that time and put it in my calendar. Okay. Now, habit number 2, and this is really important, it goes hand in hand with the weekly planning, is plan your day the day before. So if today's Sunday, I'm already creating the plan for Monday, and I block off when I will get specific things done. So what you want to do is when you have your weekly plan, is you've already decided Monday through Friday where the blocks of time, and you're not going to plan out necessarily every minute, but you might say Monday morning is the best time to work on project number 1. Tuesday morning, best time to work on project number 2. And then maybe it's not until Thursday afternoon that you're going to have time to work on the next project, but at least you can block it out. So you can reference that when you create your plan for the day. Now, the beauty of that is when you wake up in the morning and you head to the office, or if you work from home, you head to your desk, is you have your plan for the day written out. And you will use that as your roadmap, as your guide to guide your attention throughout the day. And in terms of neuroscience, what I've learned through the years is that you want to put your highest priority, the thing that is most important to get done for the day. Maybe it's the most challenging, maybe it's the most complex. Do it at the start of the day, as early as you can. So again, if you're a person that works in an environment with a lot of conference calls and meetings, your best bet is try and get those high priority items done at the start of the day, maybe before you even have your first conference call or your first meeting, if that's possible. But anyway, earlier in the day is better. And then those things that are non-urgent, they're routine, they're lower priority, phone calls, returning emails, if there's some things that just, they don't have to get done right this minute, put those toward the end of the day, because things that are easier, they're not as taxing on your brain, don't need as much mental energy, put those in the end of the day, maybe in the afternoon. And the beauty of that is you already have gotten your most important thing done, which is habit number 3, tackle your number 1 priority at the start of the day. If something absolutely has to get done today, do it first. It's so easy to get to the office, grab a cup of coffee, check your email, then go into your first meeting. But email's like quicksand. Sometimes once you step in, it's hard to get out. You click on the next email, you start following an email chain, you start responding. It's led you to some other information, another link. Now, all of a sudden, you lose a big chunk of precious time. And if, again, you have a really busy day, you might tell yourself, oh, I'll get this important priority done. I'll start working on it after lunch. But by then, your mental energy is already dwindling. Think of your brain power, your mental energy. Think of it like a battery. And that battery is running out. It's draining its energy as the day evolves. So you will be at your best and be able to get that task or project or assignment done most effectively and productively when you're fresh and you're doing it first thing in the morning. So try and plan your day around you getting that most important thing done first. Okay, but that assumes you know what your number 1 priority is. Now, I'm going to admit that there were times, many, many years, 25 years, I managed operations and, client operations, client services, and things that were very, day to day, lots of surprises, lots of things happening that were unexpected. And it would be very easy to go through the entire day without working on a single thing that I set out to work on, right? Interruptions, emergencies, and so on. So the lesson I learned through the years is unless I was deliberate and I was intentional about that one thing that had to get done up front, it would be very easy to find myself at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 6 o'clock saying, okay, now I'm going to start working on my list, right? And that's sort of a recipe for failure. What it means then is, right, we get back to the reason why I'm sharing this with you is you want to be at your best, enjoy what you're doing, have time to recharge your batteries. And, I'll be honest, for many years, I got a lot of my work done at night and on weekends, and it robbed me of all that precious time I could have been doing something better, something else. So through the years, I've learned some of the habits I wish I'd had a long time ago. So that's why I'm sharing them with you today. Now, and these are the things that I have used that work beautifully for me. Like ever since I started with these habits over the last few years, it's just been night and day with how much I'm able to accomplish. So habit number 4 is use that plan for the day to guide your attention. Now, this habit requires that however you create your plan for the day, whether it's digital or paper, you want to have it right in front of you. So for example, I use a page for a daily plan. I print it, I write out my plan, I put it in front of me. That's what guides my attention through the day. So whenever I finish one task, before I go to the next one, I refer to my plan, right? That's my go-to document, the go-to page. What used to happen, and I think many people do, is they live in their inbox, right? You're sitting at your desk, you're sitting in front of your computer, you've opened up email and you're looking at your inbox. It's very easy to look at that inbox as your to-do list, and that's a really big mistake. Now, many years ago, when I was living in Singapore and managing client operations for Asia and some global teams, a colleague and I, we hired an organization called Priority Management. They're all over the world, but we hired them to come into our Singapore office and train us and our entire team with their course called Working Smart. And it was fantastic. We spent the entire day with our laptops looking at all the tips and tricks and strategies using Outlook more effectively. And I'm going to tell you, years later, still, one of the big takeaways was don't live in your inbox, right? You fire up Outlook or whatever you use, and you are looking at email all day, and that's what's guiding you. And that is a huge, huge mistake. So you need to have a roadmap. Think of it as creating a new dashboard for yourself. That's what you look at that guides you through the day. Now, I use a combination of tools. As I mentioned, number 1 is that one-page plan for today. I create it the night before. That's what guides me through the day. When I finish everything on that list, then I go to a task list that has, the routine stuff like making phone calls, some email follow-up, more of those routine things I can knock off pretty quickly, 5-10 minutes here and there. I can just go through the list and knock them off. But I save those for the afternoon. Again, it's too easy when you're in email to drift, and it's draining your battery. It's draining your battery. So you want to be fresh in the morning and save that stuff for the afternoon. And you want to be deliberate when you put down one task and before you start the next, be deliberate. What's going to get your attention next? Okay. So that's the habit of using your plan to guide your attention. Now, habit number 5 is learning to say no or negotiating when you're going to do something, right? Learning to say no is a habit. Now, when you have your plan mapped out for the week and you have your plan for today, and somebody approaches you with a new request, now you can legitimately say, I'm booked solid. I've got a little bit of time tomorrow, or I have time Friday, or I'm booked solid for this week. I've got commitments all week. What do you need? When do you need it by? Could this wait until next week? And at least you have full transparency into your own schedule to make the right commitment. Now, you may not be in a position to say no, but at least you've got everything sketched out so you can figure out where to squeeze this in. But ideally, you start the negotiation process. Oftentimes, people are asking for something, right? And they can wait. It can wait till tomorrow or the next day. If everything is urgent, everything needs to get done this minute, there may be some bigger procedural problems of, why do we have so many emergencies? Now, again, I've lived in operational environments for many years. So, if a crisis occurred, we can't say, let's deal with it next week. So I realize that you may be dealing with some realities that, things can't be pushed off. But when you plan accordingly, it will be easier for you. Maybe you want to leave a little bit of open time in your calendar, at the end of every day, because you're in an environment where there is always a crisis. So you can't book yourself 100% because then you are setting yourself up for disappointment, frustration, overwhelm, and failure. So maybe you do have to say, I can only, given the type of work I do, then the number of things that come up that are emergencies, that are things that are urgent, that can't be postponed. You're thinking, I can only book 50% of my time. I have to leave 50% open and available for these kinds of situations. So you're going to customize this that's going to fit your role, based on the type of work you do in your organization. But here's what I've seen for many, many years. Most people I've worked with, most of my clients, they have not learned how to say no or to negotiate when they're going to do it. Instead, they just jump right in. They want to be accommodating. They want to be helpful. Oh, sure. What do you need? Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that. So they drop what they're doing. They help somebody. And then later in the day, they've got to, work late. Now it starts to be a domino effect. So learn to say no or learn to negotiate. And you can negotiate by asking smart questions. What exactly do you need? When is it needed by? Or maybe you don't even have time to go that far. And you say, you know what? Could we meet? This sounds really important. If you need it right now and it's really important, could we meet later today for a few minutes so I can ask you some more questions? You dive into the questions and you figure out when it could be scheduled. So anyway, it all starts with don't automatically say yes. Okay. Habit number 6 is around delegating. Huge game changer. Now, if you're good at delegating, fantastic. I applaud you because many people are not. But here's what happens. You will be most productive when you're doing the work that you're best at, right? Because you're good at it, you enjoy it, and if these things are high priority, fantastic, really good fit for you. However, the things that can drag you down is when you start working on things that they don't play to your strengths, you're really not that good at it. Maybe it's now late in the day, it's an ad hoc request. That's a little bit of a recipe for disappointment there. So it starts with self-awareness on your strengths and your weaknesses. What are you good at? Because the things that you're not very good at, you should have deliberate strategies in advance for how you're going to handle those things, right? You want to know who on your team is good at those things because they may love that opportunity. So when you know the goals and aspirations of your team members and what their strengths are, you can delegate assignments to the best person. You're actually giving them an opportunity to do what they're good at and what they enjoy. Now, it would be ideal for you to have a conversation with each member of your team individually and the team as a whole to clarify what the strengths are for each person. Now, the reason it's good for the team as a whole is that everybody's in the same boat in terms of they get something, they're working on a task, assignment, or a project. It may not play to their strength, but if they know who else on the team loves working on that, is really good at it, they can go to them and collaborate. Maybe they can swap, help each other out. Right? It pays dividends. Now, I've conducted a workshop that is based on the Strengths Finder assessment where people discover their top 5 strengths. And I've done these workshops for many companies, hundreds of employees, and it's always an energizing and inspiring activity. one of the things that's really exciting about this is that according to Gallup, when you as a leader leverage the strengths of your team, you get an 8-fold increase in engagement. 8-fold increase in engagement, which is fantastic because that's fueling productivity, contribution that everyone's making. And getting back to the purpose of this episode is to help you and your team increase your productivity. So when you're delegating in alignment with this strategy, it's a win-win. You're more productive, right? Because you don't want to be working on things that are your weak spot. You're giving it to somebody who is good at it and loves doing it, and they're going to be more highly engaged. Now, I've worked with many people who feel that their boss just doesn't let go easily enough, right? They would like an opportunity for their own growth to tackle some other kinds of assignments, projects, or tasks. So you're really going to be able to fuel not only your own productivity, but theirs when you give this some consideration. So delegating isn't just handing an assignment to somebody. To delegate successfully, you want to think strategically about who you're giving it to and how it plays to their strengths. Now, if knowing your own strengths and weaknesses is an area that you'd like more clarity for yourself, check out my program, Acclimate to Accelerate. I help people with this all the time. It's one of the key things I've helped both companies and individuals gain clarity on and how to utilize this information. You can find a description of the program by clicking on myownsuccesscompass.com. And for more details on or other ideas on delegating, you could listen to episode number 27 on delegating to improve your personal brand and increase engagement. I give you some additional strategies on that. Now, the last habit number 7, is around self-care. And I'm sure this isn't the first time you've heard it, but I have to tell you, the more I focus on these 3 things, sleep, nutrition, and exercise, the more I have supercharged my productivity. So if you do everything that I've shared with you today around creating the weekly plan, creating your plan for tomorrow, doing, your plan for the day the night before, focusing on your number 1 priority, and all the things I've mentioned, you can still take that to a whole new level when you've gotten 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That's crucial. Because you can wake up in the morning, if you don't have enough sleep and you do everything else I've talked about, you're still going to feel like you're not quite as productive as you could be. You may sleepwalk through the day and feel lethargic, don't have the energy, you're not concentrating. Things that should come easily and be done quickly, you're just not going to get done very quickly because you're in a brain fog. So you've got to get a good night's sleep. You've got to eat healthy food, right? If you are eating too much sugar, I don't know, for me anyway, it's sugar, dairy, carbohydrates, etc. If you're not eating the right diet, right, you don't have the right nutrition, again, you can feel that brain fog. And I've been guilty of all that, just grabbing, it's sort of a vicious cycle. Not organized, not productive, working late, get home, don't eat the right food, have microwave popcorn for dinner, cheese and crackers, get to bed late, not get a good night's sleep because, you haven't eaten the right food or whatever, wake up the next morning, now you're not feeling at your best, right? It's this vicious cycle. So sleep, nutrition, and of course, exercise. Because if you can exercise in the morning, that's going to really accelerate that creative and mental energy that you start the day. And of course, the first thing you want to tackle is that number 1 priority. So this is like a recipe to supercharge your productivity. These are things that everything I've shared with you are things I've implemented over a period of years and have just been the formula that really takes my productivity to the next level. So I hope that of these 7 habits, something here has really resonated with you. And, you may not tackle all 7, but pick the 1 or 2 that you feel like would be a great next step for you. And over the next month, chip away at that and then see if you can eventually implement all 7. I guarantee you these 7 habits will really be game changers for you. Now, if you want more strategies for time management, I encourage you to listen to episode number 5, where I interview Dr. Sarah Reif-Hecking, who's a time management expert and a clinical psychologist, and it's time management activities to maximize success. So you get more really good tips from listening to that. So hopefully this episode has been helpful for you. And what I would love to hear from you is how you are finding this podcast. I'd love for you to, in iTunes, click on ratings and reviews, leave a comment. I would love to get your feedback. I'd really appreciate it. And if this would help somebody that you know, feel free to send them this link. and, spread the help to others who you think could benefit. And lastly, I just want to thank you for listening, and hopefully you'll be back for the next episode. So you could go to iTunes, subscribe to the podcast, and make sure you don't miss a future podcast. So thank you and have a great day.